Hello there, and welcome to this episode of Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars podcast. Thank you so much for finding us. I'm David Amilati. I am one of your hosts, and joining with me is our other host,
hello,
Nick Stewart, because we're the only two at the table. There's no one else who could be hosting the show. It's just us.
We could fit probably 2 or 3 more people in here if we really tried.
If they were midgets. Let's talk with first. It's been a couple of weeks, but we finally got together, me and you, on this project. It's exciting.
It's almost like we live busy lives or something. It's kind of a challenge.
I feel like we live 2 separate lives.
We live real close, though.
We do. We're like 45 feet apart from each other.
Shouldn't be that difficult.
We are going to get started with our first segment, which is Real Talk. We're going to jump right into this because we have so much to get to. And Real Talk is a segment where we talk about everything movie news. This could be the saga films, the standalone movies, if they ever make that terrible decision again, and then they make an animated film in theaters. We'll go see it. They'll get our money.
What's the first one?
I hope they didn't do it. When they launched the Clone Wars.
Oh, right,
back
right.
in like 07, that monstrosity.
I hope they make another Christmas special. That was great.
Oh, that was atrocious.
That was my favorite thing.
God, you're such a troll. Our first topic of the day is brought to us by TMZ. They are really becoming the leaders of breaking entertainment news. They released roughly 20 photos within the last couple days from the set of the upcoming Han Solo standalone film, set to release May 2018. And these images gave us our first look at Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, and also some images of the set. And Nick, you've seen a lot of these images, including Alden Ehrenreich. What's your first impression?
Doesn't look like Han Solo. I think there needs to be some movie magic involved in that, because my first look was, what?
His hair...
I was puzzled.
He kind of just looks like Alden Ehrenreich in any promotional photo you've ever seen.
He looks like a Grease version of Han Solo, like going way back.
You think the Jets are
slicked back hair?
The Jets are going to come out and start singing?
Hey, man.
West Side Story in the Star Wars galaxy?
I don't know. I'm not sold yet.
You take a look at the photos, and you're seeing him in a costume that is not his traditional, or not his, but Han Solo's traditional jacket. But you are seeing a glimpse at a lot of really cool vehicles. Some look like they're refurbished World War II tanks. One kind of looks like the Camaro of the galaxy. It's really slick. It's like this blue, curvy, looks like a 1960s Camaro. I think a 1960s Camaro is probably the best example of it. What are your thoughts on those new vehicles? Because, again, these are... I mean, it's supposed to be in that era that we're all very familiar with, but it's all kind of new.
I always like when they diversify the different things they have going on, like episodes 1 and 2 in Coruscant. Like, you had all the different types of vehicles and gliders and other types of, vehicles kind of flying around. I love the diversity, because you have to imagine a galaxy that large, you have to have all sorts of crazy things. I mean, even just where we live, we have a bunch of different auto manufacturers. I love seeing the different types of things. And obviously they're designed with very special purposes in mind, as you would probably have in that time period. And
he's getting chased around by some Imperials,
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of cool. I like just seeing the different things. Although I'm glad we're not getting like too crazy. Like, nothing is like obnoxious looking, but
I think just because we're seeing images from the set and we're seeing images of him, it's kind of relieving for me, because it's just knowing that production is underway. They are going to make this film. You have 2 very talented directors at the helm. So I'm feeling confident now that it's in production, because when they first announced this film, I was very skeptical, because I don't need Han Solo's backstory. I mean, personally, as a fan, I like the mystery. I just like to know that he's a rough guy, and over the course of the years, Leia and Luke really turned this guy to a good-hearted guy.
I agree. There could be a lot better spin-offs. I'm not complaining for more Star Wars movies. I like seeing more Star Wars movies.
We're going to get them for like the next 40 years,
yeah,
man.
I'm pretty excited. Thank you, Disney.
Well,
thank you, the Disney gods. But I kind of wish there's definitely other characters they probably could have picked for that. I get that they want to use someone that's really well-known to kind of target all the different audiences, the older generation, the newer generation. I think they're trying to kind of get themselves with all the generations again, to try and like connect to all the different audiences, which episode 7, I don't know, did a great job at doing that. I think it was really targeted towards the younger generation now.
And getting new fans, people who weren't into the series before. Yeah.
And then Rogue One was a kind of an addition to that. I think with that, you're going to start targeting maybe the older people that kind of want to see more Han Solo, kicking ass kind of thing.
I can totally dig that. And it's funny that you mentioned a standalone film that we all went to see. The Obi-Wan standalone film is still not officially confirmed. But we did have Ewan McGregor on Jimmy Kimmel last week, and the topic came up. Jimmy asked him, if he had been in negotiations or in contacts with Disney recently about a possible Star Wars film, and Ewan kind of seemed uncomfortable answering the question. He said that there has not been talks, and that at this point he just feels bad because he's coming off as asking for work, but if there was a Star Wars film out there, he would sign on. You've watched this interview, Nick. Do you think that he was being sincere, that he and Disney haven't been in talks? Or do you think that this is all just, an actor being an actor on air?
I like to think that there have not been talks in there. I think it kind of came off as I don't want to say the wrong thing, because, you have you have to imagine, anytime you have a Star Wars character doing anything talk show related, you're going to have a lot of eyeballs watching that. And he doesn't want to say something that would accidentally give hope to people.
Right.
So I think he was intentionally being very safe with his verbiage. And I think that's kind of why it kind of was a little strange.
See, but my thing...
I would love to see an Obi-Wan. Let me just put that out there. I would love... That's the standalone that should happen.
Absolutely. But my thinking is, it's ABC. This is the station that Disney owns. And I'm wondering, is this a thing where Jimmy's like, can I ask him about this and tease a little bit and keep adding, fuel to the flame? Because right now the internet is exploding and has exploded for months, saying they want to bring back Ewan McGregor. Mm-hmm. I want to believe that there has been talks, because I really do think that if we don't see him as a Force Ghost Obi-Wan Kenobi sitting on a log in The Last Jedi, we're going to get him back as a Force Ghost in 9 at least.
Mm-hmm. I think, though, that if, as you mentioned, ABC and Disney kind of got that little thing going on there.
Yeah.
If they were going to announce that or use that platform to try and reach out to different audiences, that would have happened then. I don't think if something is not in the works, and I'm now more believing that nothing is in the works just because he didn't announce it then, because that would have been a great opportunity. We're after the Star Wars celebration, so there's kind of that gap.
Yeah, but now you have D23 coming up,
right?
And Comic-Con. So
Comic-Con is going to be huge. I'm excited.
It's going to be ridiculous, but I think at D23 that's our next chance, because we've had Kathleen Kennedy on record recently saying that they are in active negotiations right now, trying to determine what the next set of standalones are going to be, and then what's going to happen after 9, because the belief is there will be a 10, 11, 12, and whether or not that's with Rey, Finn, and Poe, this new group of characters we've got, or if they're going to jump way ahead in the timeline.
One of them's dying. One of them's dead.
Poe?
Yeah, I don't know which, but one of them's dead.
They got to kill Finn. I want Finn dead.
One of them's dying in the next episode, I bet.
We'll all find out together come December.
I'm calling it here.
The next topic of real talk today is, and this next story comes from StarWarsNewsNet.com. They are probably the best aggregator of Star Wars content online. Definitely check them out. Happening last week, a Japanese leaflet promoting Star Wars Episode 8 The Last Jedi was released, and the description featured on it is blowing up the internet, and that's no exaggeration of the truth right now. The translated text includes this statement: "The most shocking truth in Star Wars history will soon be revealed." Now, this is the news of the last 10 days, without a doubt.
As you read that, by the way.
What do you think? The greatest secret revealed? It sounds like they're going to try and top the Vader reveal in Empire. Mm-hmm. And one, do you think that's the case? And if so, is that a good idea or not?
Well, I'm also skeptical on the whole translation, because there's been times before where things are not translated properly, right, and that chaos happens with that. Ooh, you got to do something. Episode 7 was kind of not the greatest, and so you need something in 8, I think, to get a lot of people talking about it, a lot of buzz with it. 7 was a great, oh, here's Star Wars again, back in our lives. 8, you need something to make it a talking point. So, I don't know what that could be, but I do think that, you got to have some type of major thing going on there.
Well, and the trailer was so suspenseful, especially with the voiceover with Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. And, of course, we get to the end, and there's one thing I know: the Jedi must end. And there's just so much controversy surrounding just that statement. You're thinking, well, is it going to be the end of the Jedi Order? That's going to be crazy. I don't want it to be the Rey parent reveal. That's not going to top Vader in Empire. And it's just a completely different world now, because what made the Vader reveal so incredible was at the end of Empire, everyone thought that he was lying. In fact, actors on set, when they filmed, thought Vader was lying. And then you had 3 more years until Return of the Jedi to find out. And it's not the world we live in today with the internet, where you're constantly speculating on the internet. You're just having word-of-mouth conversations, kind of like what we're having right now.
How did that happen back in the 70s?
That secret was driving people crazy. You're not having that anymore. Now you can get on here on the internet and you can share your theories with fans, and then there's shows like ours where we debate these silly things until we're blue in the face for another 2 years. So I don't see that reveal. There's no way a reveal could be bigger now than it was back then, just because of the world that we live in with the internet.
It has to do something with some older character being involved in something sketchy. So it's gonna be like something like I don't even know. It's got to be something crazy though. It has to change your view of some of your main characters.
It's gonna be terrifying. And not even to mention, we're gonna witness Leia's death, which that's gonna be heartbreaking. There's no way that there's no way they can keep her around for 9, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's in 8, so we know that they're keeping her on for that. So do they kill her off in 8? Or do you make her just disappear in 9?
It sounds like they've said that they've completely redone 9, so she's out of it after 8.
Oh, she's dead then.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. All right, our next question, or not next question, but our next topic of the segment is we now know the Revenge of the Sith had a different ending. Digital Spy gets credit for this find. A 2016 interview with concept artist Ian McGregor has resurfaced, and in it he says Padme originally took a knife to Anakin's neck on Mustafar, but realized she still loves him too much to do the deed. Now, the complete article includes concept art of the knife. Nick, you've seen this concept art, you've seen the article. What do you think about hearing this was the way Revenge of the Sith was supposed to end?
I like the current one, or the one that ran.
Canon, yeah.
Yeah, because it was very sad. I feel like the Star Wars saga sometimes isn't very, dreaded and sad, and doesn't have a lot of tragedy. That was kind of one of those really tragic moments in that, and she was kind of defenseless and gave up. I kind of like that. I think it's depressing, and it kind of shows that that relationship is just completely broken at that point.
Now, in the article, they do say that she still dies. Anakin still force chokes her.
Right.
I like this idea, though, that he just straight up kills her out of rage rather than the death of a broken heart, because I always thought that was kind of a cheesy cop-out in that film. But I kind of like this original idea better because it just makes her seem like more of an activist, that Anakin has driven such a wedge in their relationship. And this article also did touch on the fact that she was supposed to be shown as one of the creators of the rebellion in Revenge of the Sith. And if you look at the deleted scenes, we get a couple of those moments where she's having the initial conversations with Bail Organa and a couple other senators saying, what's happening right now in the galaxy has to be avoided. We need to do this. I really wish those clips would have been kept in. You don't want to see her have more of a standout role in that third film?
I'd like to see that, but I think that would jeopardize her whole character as her being a senator, as her being a person in a democratic society. You don't go around just killing your enemies. Granted, this is kind of crazy scenario and them kind of being evil and all that, but looking past that,
this man just killed a lot of younglings.
Well, anyway, I mean, even here in America, we had, if we're going to get real deep here, like you had the Sandy Hook shooting and all that kind of stuff. You had, kids being killed, but we didn't go out and, lynch mob trying to kill this guy.
That got really deep.
Yeah, but we live in that democratic society where we have trial and due process, and I think if you do that, if you make her attempt to, I guess, assassinate, if we want to use that word, Anakin / Darth Vader, then it jeopardizes her integrity in the Senate.
I can dig that, because she was kind of like that pure beacon throughout that original trilogy.
And that's what also made it so traumatic, is that her death was kind of like the final piece of...
I just wish that she would have had more of a role. I still wish they would have put those rebellion clips in Revenge of the Sith, just because her character was kind of a throwaway. And read whatever you want to into the controversy of how she was behaving on or off set, and comments she was making about her experience with the Star Wars films. Padme needed to be a more standout character in 3. And I could have used less of her in Attack of the Clones, but that's a whole conversation for a whole nother episode. Let's before we leave this topic, though, a real quick shout out. George Lucas had his 74th birthday. Thank the maker. I don't know why we waited till the 5th and last headline of the day to talk about this, but yeah, the guy responsible for it.
He doesn't do anything
the guy
anymore.
Yeah,
he's fine. He's out of it.
without him, we're not doing this podcast. I don't have much of a childhood without George Lucas. I'm going to be honest with you. I had a lot of lonely afternoons just watching his original trilogy. I feel like we had to say at least thank you to that guy, right?
Yeah, he's right. He's kind of cool. He's kind of nifty.
George, if you're watching this, thank you. And we could use investors. All right, let's go to our next topic we're done with Real Talk. Let's jump into our next segment. This is Pages, Panels, and Pixels. And we're going to start right in with an announcement of a new comic book series. On Friday, StarWars.com announced a new 5-part miniseries featuring one of the greatest Jedi of all times, Mace Windu. Star Wars Jedi of the Republic Mace Windu is set to hit comic book shelves this August, written by Matt Owens, drawn by Dennis Cohen. It is set to take place right after the start of the Clone Wars. Nick, it's a Clone Wars comic with Mace Windu, and you're playing with BB-8. But what do you want to see in this Mace Windu comic?
That's another one that could be a standalone film. I always had a bias towards Mace Windu because purple's my favorite color.
Right.
And that's just my favorite thing. That purple lightsaber is my favorite thing. I could see more of that in my life.
How's BB-8 doing?
He's just getting back and
We just have this interactive set, and Nick's just having a great time. How about you back up Poe's X-Wing so it doesn't fall off the Collector Series box set there? All right, there we go. Boop. We just take care of our things. Getting back on topic, though, I have to see him. I want to see him on Dantooine, and the only reason why I bring that up is the fact that that's where he was in that micro series that came out in like 2003, and we see him take on this like monstrosity of a trade federation. It was like a crusher. It was the machine that they used to create the craters that they placed the stations in. But he just destroys hundreds of droids, and it was really cool because for the first time you really got to see Mace Windu perform his style of combat, which was created by him, and it was something that he practiced where he mixed dark side into his fighting, and I think that'd be really cool. I'd also like to maybe see some conversations with him, Yoda, and Obi-Wan, similar to what we see in Revenge of the Sith, where they're walking down the temple corridor and they're talking about, is this prophecy wrong, or are we not doing what we need to with Anakin, or how is Anakin's progress? I feel like Mace Windu is always that guy in the prequels saying, we shouldn't be training this guy. It's a bad idea. Yep. He's scared. He's cold. He's too old. He's not dedicated enough. I'd like to really see that relationship investigated more, because I think that has more of a payoff than in Revenge of the Sith.
And also in the comics, I'm calling it now, the last one, and that probably is going to be him surviving, getting thrown off in Coruscant.
Would that not be cool if like the last
alive.
Panel? Well,
Okay, if Maul survived that shenanigans, then Mace Windu.
The Star Wars galaxy is just full of shenanigans.
He had like robot legs. That's not cool.
I would love for like the last panel to be a jump, but that's not probably going to happen.
Mace Windu's alive.
But he did come out. Samuel L. Jackson did come out at Star Wars Celebration, and he said on the screen he thanked George for including him in the universe, and then he just starts yelling that Mace Windu's alive and that they need to bring him back. And we
don't see his death in Star Wars. If we don't see a death, they're still alive.
That is a truth. I would love to see him back somehow in 9. I don't think it happens, but I think it would be really cool if he was just hiding the entire time.
What if that's the thing in episode 8?
If that was the reveal?
If that's the reveal, Mace Windu just shows up. He actually is the one that like did bad things with Luke.
You've heard the Mace Windu theory that he's Snoke, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, we do not endorse that theory. I don't like it.
That's kind of
devious. I still want Snoke to be Plagueis, but
I want Mace Windu to be good too. He was always kind of like a James Bond character for me. I feel like he was just the one that was just really suave, and he's my guy.
Mace
Windu's my guy.
We all need heroes. Let's jump to our next topic. This was also breaking in the world of comic news this week. Readers will now get a one-shot issue explaining how our favorite duo from Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, Cassian Andor K2SO, met. It will be penned by Dwayne Straczynski. Now, is this a story that we even need? Nick, what do you think?
I'm very back and forth. I'm really back and forth on the fact that Star Wars either makes droids have personalities and then don't have personalities. Sometimes I think it's very cartoony and I hate it. And then I think in Rogue One is a good mix. I think they captured him really well in that, where he wasn't like obnoxious like some things, but he was still very kind of comedic. He had really comedic moments. I think it'd be interesting. I mean, obviously he had to be involved in some type of, like fight or something, an Imperial fight. That's how they had to meet at some point. So I mean, it definitely would be an action story.
I was curious to know how these two really did run into each other. How does Cassian acquire K2SO? And I think that the comic book is a great outlet for them to tell that story. I really didn't want a whole novel on this, and I think this is a great opportunity, a great idea for a one-shot. You know, they did something. They gave C-3PO a comic to explain how he got the red arm, and that was just an atrocious story. This could really have some value to it. I think this is a great idea. And again, making it a one-shot, it seems like it's going to be a pretty clear, concise story. Maybe it's a thicker book. Maybe it's not just your 22-page comic. Maybe it's, 44, So
I think you make it shorter, because I think part of the reason they're doing this, too, is because I think K2SO kind of fit with the children a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so I think this would kind of get kids to go gravitate towards the comics, and then maybe they can go from there to start venturing in other markets, kind of thing.
Very cool. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Like in the Halo universe, I ventured into Halo comics because of I wanted to know one background story that they had, and then from there I kind of took off from there. So I think if you can get one demographic into the comic book market, and then they'll kind of start venturing from there, because I think it's kind of neat. So
absolutely. Now, we are kind of running on out of time for this segment. So before we go on to the next, I do want to mention Poe Dameron, number 15, Star Wars issue 31, which is part 2 of the Screaming Citadel series. It's a 5-part miniseries going on right now. Both really great stories. Poe Dameron, basically the rebellion or the resistance has run out of fuel. He has to go get the fuel. And Star Wars 31, that is just such a complicated story. But it's okay, because you know why? We did comic book breakdowns of both of these issues. You can find them right now on our YouTube channel, right below this video. So be sure you go. You can either pause this podcast right now, or you can wait until the very end and go check out those videos.
We can put an annotation above your head, right here, too.
Right there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Boop. Did that work? Boop. All right, let's go on to the next segment. Can you tell that we're getting slap happy? Our next segment of the show, Stash It or Blast It. So this is where our panel will be asked a series of questions. And then we'll just talk about whether or not we stash it, we want it, or we blast it. Don't want to have anything to do with it. And the first thing we have is the new Star Wars Battlefront 2 featurette that just came out. And thanks to EA, DICE, and PlayStation for that, it highlights the new story mode. And that's obviously the big story right now with Battlefront 2 is the fact that this game, unlike the first, technically third, but the first by this conglomerate of groups, will have a campaign. And now what is so cool about this is the game will walk us through the canon story from Return of the Jedi to The Force Awakens from the Empire's perspective. And let's just talk about the story mode, because recently there was another featurette that dropped that talked about creating all the new worlds, but just the fact that we'll have a story with this game, does that excite you, being the gamer that you are, Nick?
I think it's sad in 2017 that a selling point is, hey, here's this thing that we did not give you the last game. That's how terrible gaming is in 2016 too. Battlefront was the worst game I've ever played in my life. I hated it. I did not buy it. I played the beta. It was fun. It looked gorgeous, and it really ran really well on PC. But it just had so many features removed from it that were just like, no, I'm not buying this waste of money.
It wasn't attractive to me. I'm not a very big video gamer, but I'll buy anything that's Star Wars. And what I loved about the original Battlefront 1 and 2s was the fact that you had so many maps. You had a great campaign story. Battlefront 2, that campaign was incredible, where you're playing as the 501st, as Vader's Fist, and you're going through and you're eliminating the Jedi, and you're going through the galaxy trying to bring order. That was fantastic. And for that not to have an element like that in this new era of Battlefront games was a huge disappointment because of how great it looked, like you mentioned.
Well, Galactic Conquest was one of my favorite things to do. I get home from school and you play thing where it gets the computer.
Gosh, yes.
There's so many things missing that they're now going to probably start offering in Battlefront 2 as a feature. And all it is just because, we didn't have it in the first one.
And it's also a bummer, too, I'm noticing with some games today, is they won't even release a full game.
It's terrible.
And you'll have to download like the DLC, and you'll get like the bug fixers with it, and that's just obnoxious to me. If I'm going to give you $60 to $80 for a game, I just want that finished product. Am I thinking about that wrong?
I mean, plus the other thing too is like on PC, like I'm primarily on the PC side of things. A lot of times people release games that just don't run well on PC. They're not optimized for PC. They're terrible ports from the console version. And so like I'm real skeptical about playing some of these kind of like AAA titles. Like Watch Dogs was one of the most horrendous pieces of garbage I've ever played in my entire life. It just
Nick
didn't
Stewart
run.
does not hold back.
Gaming is something that just gets me really angry.
So here's my question. Because we are going to get a story mode, and because it's coming from the Empire's perspective, which is one thing I will give the storytelling.
Is that what our topic was about? Okay, I kind of went off.
No, you're fine. I'm bringing you back. That's my job. I think that's what has me most excited is not only are we getting the campaign that we deserve, but we're getting it from the Empire's perspective. And like I was just about to say, is the storytelling group at Lucasfilm has done such a tremendous job of starting to humanize the Empire. If you read Twilight Company, a great book, kind of a hard read to get through. Midway, it's a little slow, but it does do a great job of humanizing the Empire. And I think that's such a great thing. And it's a story perspective we've never really gotten, especially in gaming.
I'm always a fan of the Empire. I'm kind of weird. I think the Empire was kind of like the right in a lot of this.
The Reddit where it's like the Empire did nothing wrong.
Yeah, Empire did nothing wrong. I've always kind of been pro Empire in a lot of things because I like order.
They have cool stuff.
Oh yeah,
Star Destroyers, Stormtroopers,
that
Death Star
thing,
That's no moon.
That little moon thing.
So do you stash it or blast it?
I'll buy it. Depending if it looks good and runs good on PC, I'll get it.
I'm going to stash it just because they've also come out and said 3 times the amount of content. So that means we're actually going to get the map variety that we want. We're going to get the weapon and class variety that we want. And it's going to look absolutely gorgeous. I'm buying a PS4 so I can play this game.
You should get a PC. Also, speaking of which, DICE... they're the ones making the game, and DICE is great. I love DICE. Their Frostbite engine is really, really nice. It's really well optimized. They've used it now for Battlefield 1, the World War I game, and that game is terrific. So I have high hopes for the multiplayer. I just think
we'll play together.
Yeah.
Do we need to get like Twitch or something and play online together?
Duh.
That'd be so fun, right?
We should Twitch this podcast.
Oh my,
too.
we're gonna do that live all the time. Yeah. We'll do YouTube live. We're gonna even get there. This is our second episode. This is the first time you've shown up. I've been here the whole time.
All right.
All by myself. The next topic in Stash or Blast, that there is a rumor, Nick, the rumor that Ian McDiarmid did a studio session where Warwick Davis was tracking for his character Rook, a character to appear in Season 4 of Star Wars Rebels. Now, if McDiarmid is recording for Star Wars, do you think it is for Season 4 of Star Wars Rebels, or do you think it is for a future project?
I didn't look at this beforehand. I'm not going to lie. I'm using some cheat notes right now.
All right, so then I'll just break it down for you. So this is what happened. So Warwick Davis, who hosted Star Wars Celebration, basically told the world, the world found out that he was going to be playing Rook in Season 4 of Star Wars Rebels, who is kind of like a right-hand guy for Grand Admiral Thrawn. Okay. And so there's this interview that came out where Warwick kind of says, Ian was there. And so I guess the surprise or the shock there's a lot of excitement because obviously he is the Emperor, and he's arguably the greatest actor, greatest performance out of that prequel trilogy. So are you excited to hear? Are you excited to hear that he might be tracking for the Rebel series? I mean, what do you think it's for? Do you think it's for the future, or do you think it's for this the current cartoon?
I'll go with current. This show's gonna go with a bang too. It's got to be picked up somewhere. I don't think there's. I don't know what the next thing would be, or what he could possibly be else recording for. So
well, that's right, because we know that Rebels after Season 4, it's done. That was announced at Star Wars Celebration, and then we do know that they are actively working on determining what that third animated series will be. A lot of speculation says it's going to take place in the events after Return of the Jedi, whether that's after Return of the Jedi or after The Force Awakens. I think it's going to build. I think they're going to investigate what is going on in that 20 to 30 years in between 6 and 7.
And one thing that I noticed though is that a lot of times Star Wars doesn't like having multiple things doing the same thing. Like if we have this Battlefront game that's going to be investigating that between 6 and 7, I don't know if they'd also do an animated series, especially because people gaming and would also probably be watching that too. So I would say that's probably not the most likely thing, just because I think there'd be too much kind of parallel running between those two things.
My thinking is I'm a real big fan of Sam Witwer's work, and Sam was the guy who did the voice. I mean, he basically a Star Killer from the Force Unleashed video games. He's also the voice of Maul in Star Wars Rebels. He also does the Emperor in Season 2. The guy is outrageously talented, and I wonder, if you've been using him already, do you need him to come in, or do you think, well, it's the last season, we're going out with a bang, we're going to complete the story the way we want to complete it, because remember, Dave Filoni got Clone Wars basically yanked out from him after Season 6, or technically Season 5. So to make it more cohesive, maybe we do bring in Ian McDiarmid to do that voice, to tie it up a little nicer to the original trilogy.
True. I can see it. Also, Ahsoka needs to come back.
Ahsoka does need to come back. Again, we're gonna.
She lives.
We'll tease about it in a little bit, but we are gonna do a Beyond the Blast Doors Rebels recap this season for Season 4. So we're starting the podcast in time to air every episode every Saturday night. I guess we're gonna do the tease now, Nick. Every Saturday.
We're going off script. What do we do? We're going rogue.
Abort. No, but seriously, we're going to do this. Every Saturday night after the episode airs on Disney XD, we'll come in here, probably about like a 10, 15-minute conversation about what we like and what we don't like. And just be sure you're following us on our channel to find out when we start that. But if you just know when the season starts, you'll know when the recaps start, because one can't happen without the other, right?
Let's just have no more droid singing, please.
No more singing droids. That was such a bust episode. You have to. Well, it's going to be. I think it's a shorter season. They don't have time to waste. Like, it's got to be a hard episode each week. You know what we need to do? We need to do a Rebels preview, like a Rebels Season 4 preview.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
You need to do Rebels in like a minute. Season 3 in a minute.
That's impossible.
Oh, you can do it.
There's just no way.
Just do it to auto-tune.
We still need to do a breakdown of that Season 4 trailer.
Right.
Because that thing was beautiful. That's why
I've only watched that one.
If she comes back as a wolf, I'm going to be very upset about that. I don't believe in reincarnation in the Star Wars galaxy. That's silliness.
Nah. There's already too much of that.
That's not a stash it or blast it topic, but I guess that's the end of that segment. We finally got there.
Nice.
Good job. We're still figuring this all out. All right, let's just move on to our last segment of the show, because this is just a joyride that is getting way off track. Stay on target. This is where we're talking about just what's on our minds, what we're excited about coming down the pipeline. And I'll start this one. I just want to say we just got done talking about Star Wars Rebel Season 4 has me really at the edge of my seat, because there is a lot of loose ends that we want to see tied up. You'd have to think that this Ghost crew is going to have to go out in a blaze of glory. They can't hang around. You do know that General Syndulla. We hear her in Rogue One, but you're having to think they gotta tell you what happens with Ahsoka, because they didn't tell you with the book. The book Ahsoka came out that's on that shelf right there. That was a story in between the end of Clone Wars and then kind of leading up to what was going to go on with Rebels. But you got to see the dynamic there with Kanan and Ezra, and seeing if Ezra does survive this. And I think it gives a lot of theories, a lot more legitimacy. You think he goes out? Really?
Oh yeah.
Why?
If he's not in Episode 7 in some capacity, which he wasn't, like we weren't able to find him anywhere in the background or anything, just being there. If you have another Jedi surviving,
do you think it cheapens it all?
He has to be in Rebels.
Well, what if he is, I don't know, away on training or something, and they bring him back in 8 or 9? I would rather not see him, but I think it's possible.
I don't know.
You just got really mad. You just started huffing.
Real skeptical. No.
You're just like, it's like what my cat does.
We need Paul in here.
We don't need Paul McCartney
chill here
on set. He is the show
He
mascot.
would destroy this.
He would just knock over everything, and I'd be crying. Your Mountain Dew would be on the audio equipment.
Oh, see, now that's a real tragedy.
The camera's probably on the ground at this point, and I'm telling you, you do not want to look up at this. Okay, so what's on your mind? What are you looking forward to in the Star Wars world?
I think we're about a week and a half or so away from E3, and E3 is like my favorite event of my life. It's the Electronic Entertainment Expo, usually a huge gaming event. They're adding the PC gaming show again, and usually at these events you're going to have Star Wars is going to be a pretty big piece of the EA show, which I'm assuming they're doing this year. I actually haven't looked to see if they have an EA press conference.
They are.
Yeah. Okay, because last year one of them didn't have one, and I was really upset. Okay, so that makes me happy. But yeah, I mean, anyway.
Bringing everyone joy, not just you, but even the people on this own show.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thanks, man. I look forward to it. That's why I'm here. I'm here to learn too. But anyway, all the different Star Wars games you're gonna get. Obviously, we're gonna get more Battlefront footage. Is that actually gonna be worth my money or not? You're probably gonna get a real time.
I think it
demo
is,
of
man.
that.
I think it really is. Like I said, they've released 2 featurettes already, and it's really great to see how these 3 studios are kind of converging to make this game happen. And I never thought I would see a game that looks this great. I mean,
Gotta get on PC though.
I said the same thing when first
4K, 60 FPS.
Oh man, can I just buy a PS4 and you be okay with it?
Nope.
So I gotta buy my own.
Well, they're gonna
computer.
announce probably the PS4 Pro garbage, which is like a new PS4 that can supposedly run 4K, but not really. La 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 la. It runs
Wasn't the
at 30
Xbox
FPS.
coming out with something too now?
Yeah, Xbox Scorpio, Project Scorpio.
Oh, that just sounds like a lot of money.
Yeah, it's just gonna be all these consoles that are gonna try to be PCs, but you can't upgrade them. They're just not gonna run well. I hate consoles too. I get angry. At
I think
technology in
I think you found out about that like 20
Real
minutes
quick.
ago. Yeah, I think
That's
20 minutes
my-
ago we knew that you were
If we need 3 bullet points for
bigoted
me,
against the
Yeah.
councils.
I'm just revolting against big game. Anyway, big game like deer. Anyway, yeah, gaming is what I'm excited for coming up. I think all the different Star Wars games coming up, I'm always really excited.
It's going to be really cool because there's so many games that we know that are in development, but that we know so little about.
Yeah.
And again, when you talk about the Lucasfilm story group retconning the canon when you had the Disney buyout, the takeover, basically, and they're trying to streamline everything, and I think they've done a tremendous job with the novels, making sure that everything kind of lines up right. And now that we know that this new Battlefront 2 game is going to be canon, that story is going to be official, I think is really exciting. And to find out what these other games are, you're hoping you get a bounty hunter or underworld kind of game here in the near future. I would really like something to come out that was kind of like Jedi Starfighter.
That game was so fun.
It was so
my
incredible.
God.
Both of them were good.
Yeah.
Both of them were good. I think the second one was a little underrated, but I think that they were just they were just the best. I just had the best time on the PS2, the fat PS2, because I play on consoles.
The problem is you have to look at too, like, trends in gaming right now. Right now, RPGs aren't that in anymore. So
Right.
like, a lot of people would love to see like another Knights of the Old Republic. I never got into it. I never liked RPGs, but I know a lot of people would like to see that. Just the way that the gaming community is going right now, I don't foresee that being a real threat. I think Battlefront's going to take over the first-person shooter kind of aspect. A lot of games are starting to trend towards kind of this survival, kill like one versus everybody kind of style. I don't know if there's anything that Star Wars can do to latch onto that market. You have like H1Z1 is kind of like a free-for-all, a bunch of basically one man surviving. You have the new game coming out, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. It's a lot of like interesting games that are coming out that are very moving away from like team oriented to more like
Right.
lone wolf. I really want to know, is there anything that Star Wars can do to latch into that market? That's what I want to see.
And I guess only time is going to tell. Maybe we find out at E3, like you just mentioned.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That would be exciting.
I don't know what.
And they stream all that stuff online, right? Like you can watch a lot of that stuff, a lot of that content.
We definitely have an E3 show, like a post E3 special.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, we're doing that.
I'm fine with that.
Knock it down.
We just-
June, whatever.
We just said it right here.
4th, 5th. Whatever
Hey,
the
I
date that is.
just thought of this. I want to change my stash at Elastic. No, we'll put this on Staying on Target.
'Kay.
We'll keep this on Staying on Target. There is that petition that's been on the internet for a while now, asking for a Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic Netflix series,
Yeah.
and it's almost hit 200,000 signatures.
Netflix is a great place for things like this to happen.
And it would be so great because you go back 2,000, 3,000 years, and you have the Sith. I mean, the thing I want this so bad just for the fact of the image that they have. It's a bunch of Sith with their red lightsabers ignited, and it's just beautiful. I want that series, and I think that would be tremendous if that could happen. I think Netflix is the greatest platform for something like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's the greatest place where you can go with Knights of the Old Republic. I just don't see a standalone movie doing well right now. I think it makes sense to do like a Rogue One type thing, just because that was an era we were all familiar with, and Han Solo is like a character that a lot of people latch on to. But a Knights of the Old Republic, doing like a Darth Revan movie, you have to educate the general fan more about that era that didn't play those games in order for that standalone to be worth anything.
Well, didn't Disney and Netflix have like a deal right now where like all their movies are coming to Netflix?
Yeah,
So
and there's
that's
even
a
talks that
prime-
Disney could buy out Netflix.
That's a prime platform right there.
It would be exciting, right?
I would love it.
Time will only tell, right?
I mean, there's supposed to be like going a little off. I mean, there's supposed to be a Halo series, real like action series.
You
that's
would
supposed to
just
come
love
out.
that.
It's supposed to be like
You read the
directed
books
by, like,
and the comics and the just garbage?
It's supposed to be. Whoa, man. It's supposed to be directed, I think, by Tom Hanks.
What?
Like it's supposed to be like awesome,
Tom
but I
Hanks
have yet to actually
Plays Halo?
No, but he's directing the miniseries.
Oh, wow, that's...
Real. It's supposed to be good.
He's really
I haven't
branching
heard
out.
I haven't heard about this in a while, but
Well, that is going to do it for this episode of Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars podcast. I want to say thank you so much for joining us. And Nick, before we really do say our final goodbye for this episode, where can people find you on social media if they want to follow you?
at Nick Stewart KH2A is my Twitter account.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not going to...
It's all one.
I'm not going to promote that.
I will.
But if you want to follow me, don't follow me. Just follow the show, Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars podcast. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You're on our YouTube channel right now. Like this video. Give it a thumbs up. Be sure you subscribe to our channel and check out the other awesome videos here on our YouTube channel. Down below, you can find our comic breakdowns that I've been doing for the last couple of weeks. It's crazy to think that we've only been on YouTube for 2.5 weeks now. This is something that we've been talking about for like a year, and then we wanted to do our first episode like a month ago, but it's finally happening, and it's really exciting. So let us know what you think. Comment below. We'll see you soon.